This is Geoff Holtzman with Talk Radio News Service here at CPAC. Right now I'm joined by Roy Brown. He is with a group called Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty. I'm reading your name tag, Roy. That's very helpful. But these guys are here at CPAC. I've never run into you guys before here, but I'm glad you stopped by because I wanted to chat with you a little bit. So tell me a little bit, and you're from Montana, right?
Yes, that's right, Jeff.
You were the House Majority Leader in the Montana State House?
I was, yes, for about 6 years, actually.
And then you ran for governor?
I ran for the state senate after that. I was state senator, and then I ran for governor in 2008. I was not successful, but continued on in the legislature there.
Excellent. Well, tell me a little bit about your group and, sort of the efforts that you guys are spearheading.
Well, oftentimes you think about the death penalty and conservatives, and they usually don't mix. But at the same time, I was confronted with the fact that, I was pro-life, and life is precious from the womb to a natural death, in my opinion. And so the thought of an execution just didn't quite seem right with my philosophy. And so I started thinking about it a bit, and then I was confronted with all the extra costs that go along with the death penalty and the legal costs and everything that adds up. And as a conservative, I could see that didn't make much sense either. So I just started, reviewing it and thinking, well, maybe this isn't the right way to go.
And is your group strictly based in Montana, or do you have subsidiaries and affiliates around the country and that sort of thing?
Well, what happened is we started Montana Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty, which was picked up across the country by a national group, and now they just have Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty, and it's nationwide, and they work in various states to try and get the death penalty abolished in the state. And most states that have done it, and they've been very successful, in changing it to life without the possibility of parole.
How many states currently have the death penalty?
I think it's about 36.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range, yes.
Now, tell me, you touched earlier on the costs of executing versus, imprisonment. Give me some ideas about that, because I've heard some statistics about what it costs to imprison people, but the cost relating to executing people is something that I'm not really familiar with. Give me some examples.
There are so many legal costs because you have to cross a higher bar in the judicial process to do a death penalty, a capital punishment case. And then there are all these appeals that happen for years and years, and usually it takes anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 years to have an actual execution because of all the appeals and because of all the legal hoops you have to run through on a capital punishment case. And so those costs go to government and the taxpayers, and it's not something that would happen if you just had a simple life without the possibility of parole, and that saves all that cost.
Roy, I have to ask you the $64,000 question, which of course is, what happens when you have somebody who's been convicted of something just terrible? I mean, something like, somebody, a double murderer, or, a serial killer, or a serial rapist, or somebody like that. I mean, what do you say to people who say that those people should be executed?
Well, there are all kinds of examples of heinous criminals that really deserve the death penalty, and that's the problem with the whole situation, is that, government is not very good at doing a lot of things, and this is one of them that they're not good at. And, all the problems that go along with an execution are a real difficult situation. So it just makes it simpler. Government should protect the people from these heinous criminals, and that same situation occurs when you have life without the possibility of parole. And so that protects our citizens, and yet it saves the taxpayers money in the long run, because the costs are many times millions of dollars more for a death penalty case. I was just appointed to a public defender's commission in Montana, and we did our budget, the first meeting, and the first thing we were talking about is the fact that, we're going to have an extra $1 million in our budget because we have to defend 3 cases on death row. And, that's more taxpayer dollars that wouldn't have to be there if we just do life without the possibility of parole.
Gotcha. Well, Roy, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate the time. Again, Roy Brown, he's with Conservatives Concerned About the Death Penalty, and best of luck.
All right. Thank you, Geoff. I really appreciate it.
Sure.